Yeah, the topic we have for today is the development of nervous system. And this was a news to me when I had these chronic anxieties, and one of my mentors told me it's the nervous system acting up. We need to quieten it down. I was like, nervous system. Kind of could not comprehend, or that was like a new term to me. What the reactions that we have for any given situations or incident is an instruction from the nervous system as a mechanism to protect us, right? I mean, we have heard about the fright, flight, or freeze. Typically, we are scared of a situation, or we run away from the situation, or we just freeze because we don't know what to do. Typically, when something shocking happens, when something sudden happens, we kind of feel one of these three is typically most of us react. I mean, unless we have developed the ability to respond, stay in the spot, look at what needs to be done. Don't need to be scared. You have help from XYZ people. You don't have to escape because we have dealt with something similar before, or we have seen something before and we know what to do. Or we don't have to freeze, now take action. I mean, that comes from when I don't have my nervous system in a high alert situation all the time. We are not hyper vigilant. That is where balancing it or developing it comes from. Of course, in adults, we need to go back and start healing, but in children, we definitely can provide that kind of an environment. Many of you may have heard about Jiddu Krishnamurti, JK, as he was called. He said the nervous system is an organ of perception. In the previous discussion, we talked about psychological condition. And to understand the conditioning or overcome the conditioning, we need to develop this organ. We need to have a perception. We need to have a healthy perception. Right? Developing this perception is developing of the nervous system in one of the ways. And how does it look like? We are hypersensitive. We are aware as to what's happening around me. I'm looking at situation. I feel bad. I get angry. All of that. I am hypersensitive to a situation. However, I do not become defensive. I do not take it personally. I'm myself that hypersensitive person, but also defensive, also running away, also avoiding. I do not go through that situation, to remain firm and not to freeze, to be able to take action. So it is about being hypersensitive, but not defensive, not getting stuck in flight, fright, or freeze kind of a situation. Again, that requires practice. Typically, fear is the distorter of this balance. We talked about a few of those fears, fear of rejection, fear of failure, and there's so many other fears. Now, when the fear comes in, my perception is confused. I operate out of that fear. So it's always I'm trying to escape or avoid or not participate. I could become emotionally numb, emotionally disconnected. Those are all the psychological conditioning. The fear kind of blocks the life experiences that we need to have to develop that perception. The more well prepared we are, the more confident we are, the more we'll be able to see differently, right? Even when you take an exam, the more confident I am is when I have seen several different kind of texts, I've debated, I've discussed, I've practiced my diagrams, whatnot. Definitely practice makes the man perfect. But of course, when it is done in a rhythmic way, when it is done with some reverence, we will definitely have a balanced outlook. So I become hypersensitive, but I'm not defensive. I'm also confident of what needs to be done going forward. So we have talked about how to address fears to some extent. Definitely no comparison, no pressure to perform. For children is what I'm talking about. And children absorb our anxiety, so I need to work on my own anxieties to settle it down, right? And no threats, no bribes, no conditional anything, no constant evaluation. Now look at your sister, look at your brother. He is much more, he's younger than you, but he's able to perform better than you. Now, none of those have to come in. And because we are all psychologically conditioned, it may show up in different situations. We also discussed this earlier that I don't need to directly tell my child that you're not capable. But if I tell that that child was not capable, then my child may also take it in because children are imitating my inner gestures and moods and attitudes and anxieties. So I need to be careful about the language that I use and ensure that this fear, it might get set in, but it is addressed. Because child is not just with me. Child is going to go out in the world. One or the other is going to share their stories, and children may grasp certain things. So we'll probably talk in another episode where there is a need for conversation to address. So my nervous system is not on high alert all the time. It's always showing the red flag, A vehicle is coming, vehicle is not coming, a dog is coming, it might rain, hyper alert, hyper preparedness. I'm not saying we should not prepare. We should not be ready. We should not feel the fear. But I cannot get stuck in it over and over and over. The same pattern repeating again and again. I mean, you could see when some people that you meet regularly, if you're working, if you go to a school, watch your own self. When you see a certain person, are you talking the same thing about the person? Or have you developed this perception to go tell that directly to that person? No, that's respecting another person. Can I talk about another person in their presence, with their permission, even when they're not present? For example, if somebody tells me that we were just talking about you, I kind of exactly know because I trust that other person to have talked certain things with my permission, right? As though I would have been in that conversation. So check that pattern of my own talks. I mean, do I get into gossips? Do I get into the same kind of complaining and blaming? If that is the case, then I'm stuck in my nervous system responding to an emergency as though we are powerless, right? So definitely fear is one thing. It trains our nervous system only for urgencies, emergencies. And I do not develop this ability to connect deeply with life. So one of the ways, or maybe a couple of the ways, is to develop that attention. Not concentration. Concentration is an effort. I try hard. I breathe so many times that I can focus on what I'm learning. Of course, breathing is also a good exercise. But there is a difference between attention and concentration. You can look it up to find the subtle differences. Attention is effortless. I'm present. I'm present, but not reacting, but not frozen, but not in fear. Remember those three words, fright, flight, or freeze. I'm not in any of those situations. I'm just simply present. It's an effortless, it is very natural. And I feel kind of in peace with my body. I feel that stillness within me. I don't have this urgency to act. I have interest without becoming too excited. I have this energy. If any of us are feeling constant fatigue, tiredness, it's all because of the nervous system overload. So best is to drop any. I mean, it's not easy to drop, but we need to drop the fears. And then I need to begin being present. What is happening to me at this time in my body? Just become present to it. Right? For children, some of the best ways to develop this nervous system is silence is the key word. We don't have to fill in their space with words, words, words all the time. I mean, especially as teachers, we are so compelled to teach. I have to be talking. We say silence, finger on your lips, be quiet, because I need to speak and you need to only listen. That doesn't work very well, especially with children who are developing their nervous system. Of course, we establish rules that we talk in turns, we talk in a group on a given topic. You talk only about certain things, whatever it is. But there is silence also, where we are listening. We also had a session on this power of silence. It's amazing how it works. So I mean, silence is one of the tools, but children generally are in their growth phase. They want to talk a lot. We allow them to do that in with certain conditions, because it's a classroom. At home, definitely listen to them. You silent yourself and listen to the children so they imitate you, so they become silent when you are talking to them. It's as simple as that. But more important also is unstructured play. We do have that concept in establishing a world of classroom. Unstructured play, we call it also as a free play. Where children are allowed to do whatever they feel like without intervention from the adult, without instructions from the adult. They just work with whatever is given to them. It could be clay, it could be blocks, it could be just paper strips and crayons, whatever it is. So if a child will take, let's say, red color and start painting clouds, that's okay, right? It's allowing the child to not become vigilant, not look up to the teacher for the next instruction. Many of the adults you can see, especially the freshers who join the school or who are again conditioned, they won't take action. They'll wait for the instruction. And many a times the system also is like if you take action, you are questioned and punished because your higher up is not happy. They have psychological condition of the fear that if someone begins to perform better, they may overtake you and you may not have the job. That's their psychological condition. Could be. So, able to take that decision, being fully present to what is available to them, is a great skill to develop not only just that, also to stabilize my nervous system, also to develop my nervous system, because I begin to get faith. I begin to trust the people around me, the materials around me, the situations around me. I mean, as simple as a free play where you're just letting the child do some things. You will see, especially when you have 2, 3 year olds in the family, if they get into some corner and if they find a tube of paste or cream or something, they'll be super silent. They're squeezing it out, they're smearing all over the body, they're exploring it. They are not having any tantrums, they're fully enjoying it. Their nervous system is totally calm. But if they know that mother will peek in, grandmother will peek in, and once they find out they are going to be, that tube is going to be snatched from them, put it away, and maybe spanked once because you have to clean up all of that, then the child learns to be hyper vigilant. There's a fear of being discovered. Then they start going into hiding when they want to do something that they want to do. That's not free play. So free play is when I also can be at peace. So I give them a piece of space and I give them certain objects and I know they cannot do any damage to it. And if they do, that's acceptable because our children are learning through sometimes breaking things also, right? So free play, unstructured free play, uninterfered. If child can have that for 20, 30 minutes every single day, so they have an experience in life where they can do what they want to do without being told how to do for certain amount of time with certain objects. So that is my time. And all of us now feel that pressure. I want to get out and have my time. And no matter how much I go on a vacation, I have to come back to this place. And somewhere I feel restricted again. 7 days I may have enjoyed, but then when I come back, I'm not really refreshed or shifted my perception. The nervous system is an organ of perception. I need to have it calm and stable to build that attention, to be just present. And that for us right now needs work. For children, we can create that. The second one, other than unstructured free play, is boredom. Boredom is healthy. When I have nothing to do, my body just relaxes. And if any of you have had this experience of missing a train or train being delayed or some such thing where you had to wait, you couldn't get up and go do something else. If you just had to wait and you were getting bored and you became aware that you were bored and not fill it up. I mean, these days it's kind of hard because I just take my mobile out and start playing games or texting people or calling people. Somehow there is a need to be constantly engaged. And constantly engaged is also getting constantly stimulated, constant flow of information that will throw me off. I cannot be present. So naturally, my nervous system is not going to develop, not going to stabilize. So if you can again tell that to yourself that I will be here present getting bored. If you are at a doctor's office and if you have to wait and wait, begin observing that boredom. And for children, for sure, boredom is where they begin to innovate. They take materials around and they build their own toy or a game or ways to engage themselves. And boredom is when all of us, many of us in my time, started reading. We went to the library just because we were bored. We had nothing else to do. Now we have filled our time up and we don't have time to do everything that we want to do. Being bored or sitting idle is considered a crime. Somewhere we have a wrong association with that word. But the minute we provide space, we don't have to fill it up with things for children. They'll figure it out. Right? And they start enjoying the chores. Anything like organizing a closet was my mother's favorite, is still my mother's favorite pastime. I mean, it's not that pastime. She really wants to sit organized. I still cannot organize the way she does. And she will know exactly where she has put what because she has taken her time, in some way interacted with those pieces of cloths and jewelry and whatever that is. And she knows that she has kept it in a certain place. And if you open my closet, they're just randomly put, randomly hung. We don't even have to fold them anymore. We just put them in the hangers because we're busy elsewhere. Now, sit back and reflect. Are you truly happy, content in this moment? Or am I just raising myself? So, creating that space where children can get bored and I don't have to fill in everything that the child needs. And I have attention, I'm watching over what's happening. And I offer that unstructured free play for the children. The nervous system calms down. There's nothing to run behind and achieve. That is where the attention naturally comes. That is where we are hypersensitive, but we don't have to defend our action. We are aware, the child, you can observe them. When they are stacking their blocks, they're super careful and sensitive. And sometimes they may even start crying when the block tower topples off. But they don't have to become defensive. They don't have to become angry. They just have to pick up those blocks again and build it. If we can do that, then I'm on this path of developing the nervous system, a healthy nervous system. So typically, whatever we meet fully, whatever we experience fully, it doesn't remain stored in my body. Anything that's incomplete kind of wants to see its completion. Just like we want to go back and watch the serial tomorrow because there is something that was incomplete today. And there is a longing to go back and turn it on and see what happens next because we are seeking for completion. So if I can fully experience that toy today in my unstructured free play, if I can fully experience the boredom, there is no need for that. I become present to not get the fear, not run away from the situation, neither freeze in that situation. So let's strive to bring that settledness so we could be attentive and we can develop this sense nervous system as a perceptive organ and we don't begin reacting. Good luck.